I kind of wanted to go through the Gorillaz music videos because there's a lot of cool ones. And I thought I would start with the first Gorillaz music video, which is Clint Eastwood. Now, I understand a lot of people will say, well, Tomorrow Comes Today didn't really get released in America until later, and I feel like this is more of an introduction, and I'll get to that one later. But anyway, I kind of remember when this came out, I was like late high school and stuff, and I thought this was sort of, and it was presented more as a side project from Damon Albarn of Blur with Jamie Hewlett involved. No one knew it was going to become what it would become. And it seemed like a cool idea as alternative music was becoming less mainstream than it previously was, but this seemed like a little poppier. They would, at that time, play more music videos on like Nickelodeon and stuff like that with the explosion of TRL and younger demographics being into music videos. So this was sort of a perfect time for the Gorillaz to come up. Also, the Daft Punk video would play on Nickelodeon stuff. And there was a Adult Swim special, which someone sent me a link to in the Discord, which I actually watched and recorded off TV, of the Gorillaz music videos and the Daft Punk videos. This music video is so kind of weird and strange in a way. It's directed by Jamie Hewlett and Pete Candeland, I think, who's worked on a lot of Gorillaz stuff. It seems like they keep the same creative team, even though if you look at the music videos, it almost feels like they don't, which is interesting. It's kind of cool because you start off with the band and you're just kind of in this white background kind of band kind of performance thing, and then this like graveyard kind of comes up and that happens, and that's already cool, and you see the band playing. And I didn't know, a lot of people think 2D's shirt in this, the T-Virus, is a reference to Resident Evil. Sure, why not? I don't know, I never played that game, but let's go with that. And then it becomes dark, and then the Gorillaz come up, and you get Del the Funky Homo Sapien coming in and rapping and all this stuff. They kind of fight the monkeys and the gorilla. Are they actually gorillas that the Gorillaz play with? I guess to really bring home the band name, probably. They do the Thriller dance. There's a Dead Alive reference when one of them grabs Murdoch's crotch. And things like that. And it was just such a cool explosion because animation at that time, like this is right before Adult Swim hits. Animation, I think, when this was introduced, wasn't as cool, you know, for adult audiences. And this made it cool, but partly because this song is so good. It's just like, it's so memorable. Most people knew it at the time. It was such a kind of bigger hit. I think most people weren't sure what to make of it because it felt cool. It was, you know, Damon Albarn and stuff, but it was like a pre-made band, you know, much like a boy band or something, like a pre-marketed, pre-packaged, like made to sell kind of band, but they did it in a much more creative, interesting way, which I don't necessarily against, obviously, because I was in a cartoon band, but because I also like the Monkees, and I think they kind of came about this in a way that felt like a cool kind of cartoon idea of a band, but also kind of having fun with like horror movies and influences they like and whatever they like at the time. And some of it is consistent with what they've liked overall. The fact that this is mainly supposedly a lot influenced by The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. Sunshine in a Bag is supposedly something he says in a Western. I don't remember that in The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. Clearly Damon Albarn likes that movie because of other things he's named after it. But some people have said it means drugs. Some people says it means, you know, they have originality or, you know, creativity as a kind of like entrance, you know, song that rappers always do kind of thing. I don't necessarily know if it's about drugs or not. It seems like no one's particularly sure on that, but this kind of weird video with Sunshine in Your Bag, kind of when you're 17 you sort of believe that. I just remember this coming on and thinking like this was cool kind of animation at the time, and we didn't have a ton of that when you were older. And it was something like you could watch with your friends. It wasn't like, you know, most people weren't as cool with watching Dexter's Lab and stuff like that. So I've always liked the song. I always liked the idea of the Gorillaz. And it made me fall in love with this album because it felt like this cool, weird avenue, like this weird, funky one album, which I believed at the time. What is interesting, I didn't know Clint Eastwood has never acknowledged this song in any way. They've tried to get him to give feedback and he never has, which is very weird. I'm curious about that one. One of the things about this song is it kind of like gives you, you know, Del the Funky Homo Sapien, you get Damon Albarn, you get Jamie Hewlett, you get all these cool styles together, and I think that's sort of why people thought it was like a side project, because you kind of sort of couldn't believe all these styles came together in such a natural way, because it does feel like immediately it feels like a fun cartoony band, but one with like kind of cred. Like there's never a point with the Gorillaz that anyone went, oh, this is like a fake band. Like, you know, there was so much of that with the boy bands and stuff like that, and nobody felt that way. And it's because they bred in authenticity, and you got that from this music video. Despite the fact that they're doing, you know, funky, you know, things in this and having animation and people believe that might be corporately controlled. It didn't feel that way. It felt like it was an auteur vision of these two guys and of this creative team. And I think this music video pushes that, because you didn't see anything like that. You knew it was from these guys, and I think you get that entirely from this. This is why this is such a great intro, because you're like, there's nothing like this on TV, there's nothing like it on MTV. It felt cooler and funkier and, you know, more alternative than we were getting used to, but it felt like a pop song, and it felt like this perfect kind of awesome amalgamation of the whole thing. And I think I've always really liked this song. As soon as I heard it, I was like, oh, this is such a cool funky thing. And I was listening to the first album today, and I was like, there's so many good tracks on it. I wish they'd still work with Del the Funky Homo Sapien. I wish that had kept going. Not sure what exactly happened there, but this was just such a perfect intro, because as soon as you heard it, you're kind of wrapped up into the whole vibe of this unique vibe when there weren't as many unique things. There was like hard, you know, new metal and boy bands, and then there was Gorillaz. And Gorillaz was able to be, you know, I think part of the reason this band has endured, not just for animation, but a certain age group, is because they were just really fucking good. You know, this is a really good album. It introduces you to hip-hop in a fun, silly way, but you get the strangeness of hip-hop, you get the weirdness of pop culture references, you get everything cool about Generation X, but kind of in a way that introduces you in. And I think most of Alternative, it was hard to get into, it was hard to understand, and Gorillaz is like this isolated album with these cool cartoon characters. You might not know what they're like, but you know, you see them and it feels so inviting and fun. And I think that's something I've always liked about animated bands, and attracted me to animation and things like that, and what attracted me to them, because it just seemed like such a cool, fun thing. And it's something I've always liked about Gorillaz, and what introduced me to them through this awesome song like Clint Eastwood. Okay,